picture this. This is about 15 years ago when there was a lot of foreclosures, and I was helping Sheila, one of my clients, my buyer clients, find a home. And foreclosures weren't the prettiest back then. We went into a home, and I'm very diligent, and I want to make sure I'm protecting my clients like many other realtors do. So there was a foreclosure home, there was a little scuttle, and she was wondering what it looks like up there because it looked like it could have been scary. So I literally jumped up, grabbed the sides of the scuttle, pulled up, got my head in there, looked around, came back down, and she goes, "I didn't know I hired Spider-Man as my realtor." So at the closing table, she brought me this cool little Spider-Man toy who spun his little hands around and sang a little song. And it was meaningful for me because not only did she get the home that she was looking for, I was looking out for her, but my boys played with that toy for many years to come.
One of the most impactful stories I have as a realtor was my grandparents. My grandfather was an immigrant to this country and very much wanted to live the American dream, like so many back then and so many today. He saved all his money. He heard about a house that was for sale. Nobody wanted to show it to him. And finally one fella said, "Look it, we'll let you see the house, but you got to come at night when no one can see you." And he went, he saw it, he fell in love, he decided immediately he wanted to buy it. And he did. And he was the first Italian person in that neighborhood, and it caused a big uproar in the community when it happened. But that house became a legacy for my family. And when he passed, I was able to be the person who sold the house, and it meant the world to me to be part of his legacy as well.
We had a closing scheduled, and the gentleman called me and he says, "We have a problem." And I said, "Well, what is the problem?" And he said, "Well, Quinn decided to arrive a month early." So his wife had had the baby that morning. So we quickly had to kind of pull our resources together, and we ended up closing in the hospital, in the maternity ward. And a memorable moment for me was being able to hold a baby that was a couple hours old while mom and dad signed the closing docs.
One of the most meaningful things I think that has happened to me as a realtor is from working with my client Gary. Him and his wife looked for years to find a home. And during the course of us looking at properties, he had been writing a children's book series. And he came to me and said that he hoped it was okay that he had created Kristen the Butterfly as one of the characters in the series. I was who he thought of in creating it, as someone who is patient and positive and uplifting to the other characters. So that really was very meaningful to me and made me feel very appreciated for everything that we do and for the patience we do have with our clients.
I was at the grocery store shopping, and I noticed a client who I had worked with probably 15, 20 years ago, and I hadn't seen him in such a long time. And I called out his name and we chatted, and we talked about his transaction and his elderly mom and getting her out of a house that they had lived in for over 50 years. And as we finished the conversation, he turned around and called me back and said, "Christine, I just want you to know that you made our lives so pleasant and such an easy transition for my mom." And he had tears in his eyes. I was just overwhelmed, and it was that was memorable.
My most laugh out loud moment would be when I nearly had death by squirrel. I was upstairs in a walk-up attic, heard some scratching. I was with my clients, and next thing you know, the thing comes running directly for me. I thought I was gonna die, thought the thing was rabid. I jumped up on a rickety old fence, like a railing post that was over 100 years old, I think. And I'm lucky the thing held up and I didn't fall backwards down the stairs and die. And after that day, I knocked on every door, carried a Nerf gun with me because I was so worried that these squirrels were gonna be attacking me. So, pretty funny.
I didn't realize how important my career was until I met a particular seller client of mine. When I went to his home, it was a complete hoarder situation, and there were also unwelcome people living there. And I sat down with him, and I was met with the words, "I don't know what to do." And that's when my listing presentation went away, and I just said, "I'm here for you, and what can I do to help?" Luckily, we were able to work with an incredible group of people on the other side of the transaction, and we got it done. And I actually ran into him a couple of weeks ago, and he looked like a completely different person. I realized in this transaction that I have the capability in my career to change lives, and that's what I love about being a realtor.
One of the most recent ones during COVID was I was able to help some people in France that wanted to buy a house in Amesbury. They never saw it. I had to become a techie and learn all kinds of virtual Skypes and all those things, and toured the house. We virtually wrote an offer. It got accepted. And then they couldn't come back here because of COVID. They wanted me to be like a general contractor and hire people to come in, and the husband was able to come back first, and I was petrified, hoping he'd love it and that the wife would love it. And I did all of it virtually, sharing each thing. They would tell me, yes, they like this or that color. And I outfitted the house and staged it. Who would have known? I mean, when I started like 800 years ago, that you could actually do something like this virtually. It was amazing to me.
So one of my most memorable moments is helping one of my closest friends go through the process of selling her family home after some life experiences that were challenging for her, and being able to guide her through that process and helping her get onto the other side of that was just such an impact, not only in her life but my life as well. And I think that that's truly what being a realtor is all about, is being able to help people through certain times in their lives that might be challenging.
We're able to be a part of one of the biggest things in people's lives, and to give them sound advice and sound guidance that will help them not only personally with their habitat, but also investments and things over the long haul. And I was pretty obsessed with real estate at a very young age, and started buying it at a very young age, and now being able to help others do that, buy real estate, sell real estate, trade bigger home for smaller home, and being able to do that on a grand scale with our company and our hundreds and hundreds of realtors, it's really exciting.
Helping young people, sometimes not so young people, qualify for what I call the golden ticket. Gives them the opportunity for a low interest loan interest mortgage, sometimes down payment assistance. It's incredibly satisfying to help people get part of the American dream.
That's who we are.